come up with a policy on in the coming months. There are billions of barrels of oil under our feet in Surrey, Sussex and Kent. That's according to a British Geological Survey. And you know what that means. Fracking is back on the agenda. The government's keen to do all it can to encourage companies to explore these reserves of shale oil. Here's the Energy Minister and MP for Sevenoaks, Michael Fallon.
Well, people in Kent and Sussex have always known that there is oil there. In fact, there are 13 oil wells producing oil at the moment right across the Weald Basin. And they've been doing so in the Weald since the Second World War. So there's nothing new about oil and gas here. There will only be more of it if it's properly licensed and properly approved locally. But we now have a better estimate of how much oil is down there. And it would be wrong in the interests of national energy security to ignore the potential for extracting more homegrown energy here rather than importing oil from unreliable parts of the world.
Michael Fallon there. Well, the government have offered communities money if they allow exploratory drilling. Greenpeace have called it a bungs and bulldozers approach, and nobody yet knows how easy it will be to extract any of that shale oil. Tim Martin, Michael Fallon's being rather disingenuous, isn't he, in that clip we just played, implying that the rush for shale oil in the southeast is just a continuation of what we've already seen. There has been no high-pressure hydraulic fracturing in the southeast. This is new and it is very different and very sensitive.
Well, it's sensitive because people aren't familiar with shale oil drilling. But if we take something like Balkan, where we had all the protests about it, there's been drilling for oil on that site, and most people didn't know about it, since 1986.
But no fracking, you cannot say that they're the same thing at all.
Well, drilling for oil is getting oil out of the ground and going through rock. Drilling for fracked oil is a different version of the same thing. And there's been an awful lot of
huge amounts of water, which involves chemicals, which involves people's fears about contamination and overuse of water. You really can't portray it as just a continuation of what's been going on.
Let's look at the details, and we need to have a big debate and public education exercise on this.
That's interesting, a public education debate. I mean, it sounds like...
Well, you've just said it uses a huge amount of water. My understanding is that an average fracking well will use less water than an average golf course uses in a month, for example.
Do you know where that quote comes from? You are happy to use that quote. Do you know where it comes from?
I do know where it comes from.
It comes from directly from a drilling company's press release. That's where it comes from. And yet the Department for Energy and Climate Change is using it as though it's some fact. It's a myth. But I also know,
what people write to me about, not many people have written to me about this with their concerns, is there going to be contamination of water? A perfectly legitimate concern, and the use of water. Well, in fact, most fracking wells will be as far down as Ben Nevis is high. This isn't something that's just going to affect our water table just below the ground. It needs to be done properly. It needs to be properly licensed. It's all sorts of scrutiny from county councils, from Environment Agency. But we'll be crazy to ignore what is a source of energy for this country, which we desperately need, as part of a mixed economy. And I'm also having the largest wind farm, offshore wind farm, just off the coast of my constituency, which I welcome as part of a mixed energy economy. We can't ignore this.
James McCleary, this is becoming an increasingly unpopular Tory policy. We're seeing support. The YouGov poll later shows support for fracking falling from a high of 52% now to 41%. Wouldn't it be better to distance yourselves from fracking?
Personally, I've always been against fracking. I don't agree with the government's position on it, and I never have done. I think it's a short-termist approach, and I think it's the wrong emphasis for our energy policy. I think we should be investing money in renewables, and we should be putting as much effort as we can into incentivising companies to use renewable energy, not punching holes in our landscape in the hope of extracting more fossil fuels.
So you disagree with your Minister, Ed Davey?
Absolutely. I always have done.
Let's bring in Diane James on this one. Your leader describes fracking as a God-given opportunity for the South East. Is that sensible politically? Is this really a vote winner?
It's not necessarily a vote winner, but let's put into context the Conservative Party have already made it plain that the party political whip will be used to whip their elected councillors at every level and their MPs to support fracking. And David Cameron's gone on record on saying that. The UKIP position on this is very, very clear. Local referenda, so individual communities can actually decide whether they support it or they oppose it, and that voice will be listened to. So no elected UKIP councillor, despite a policy, as you've rightly said, statement from Nigel Farage supporting it, no elected councillor, no elected UKIP MP will go against that.
So however popular it is with your leader, You are not going to force it on any community.
In context, let's put the statement in context. It was all to do with security of energy supply and reliability of energy supply. What we have also said is if we were not a member of the European Union, we would not have to be following the ridiculous diktats in terms of renewable energy.
You can't blame the European Union for this. France has banned fracking. You know, you can make your own decisions about.
Yes, and
where
wouldn't
your
it be
energy
nice?
comes from.
And wouldn't it be nice if David Cameron would ban fracking? The South East Voice.
So you're against fracking?
Are you for it
No,
or against it?
No, that's
I'm
a good
not
question,
have it both
Tim Lawton.
ways.
Are you for it or against it?
I don't. I want to
You
see
don't know.
local communities. My local
What
community.
do you're an intelligent woman. You must have an opinion.
I am very neutral on this. I don't know the full argument. It's just like
Hold
a lot
on.
of the.
She's saying she wants to find out more information.
You
Tim,
can't
please
have your cake and eat it. You can't have
I
your
am not
energy
having my
security
cake and eat it, Tim.
and
What
eat
I'm
it.
saying-
Well, by
I
contrast to
need
you,
to
Tim
have a
Lawton, she's not
policy.
quoting information that comes from a press release for the fracking industry. Let's bring Jeremy Birch in. You want lower energy bills, but Labour seems hesitant to commit fully to a pro-fracking policy. Why?
Well, I think the idea the South Downs National Park should be the new Texas is frankly ridiculous. And I must say, interesting that Romania and Bulgaria have banned fracking, as a matter of fact. Perhaps UKIP can make a visit to go and check out
Where are you, Jeremy
exactly
Birch?
what's going on.
Diana's on the fence, James is against.
I think we want a proper national debate, and I wouldn't leave it to the government, who've already made up their opinion, already trying to bribe local communities to accept it.
So
let's have a real debate
Okay.
about the benefits.
Do you think you know enough yet to make your own mind up?
Let's have a real debate about the benefits, and let's have a real debate about the disbenefits. I think Tim is being very blasé about the impact this could have on the water table. And the other issue here is, this is a big issue for the South East, yet if you look at the amount of oil that could easily be extracted, it's very small, actually. It's about 0.5% of North Sea oil reserves. So is this a storm in a teacup, actually? This would be about six months worth
Jeremy, just
of oil.
finally, your position.
Then
Do you know yet? Are you pro or anti?
We want a proper debate
So are
and
you
an
pro or
informed
anti?
debate, not a government-led debate.
Are you pro or anti-fracking?
I think I've given my answer there. Let's have a proper let's have a proper debate where we can all
We'll have to come
understand
back
the
to it.
issues.
Thank you.
Not led by
Thank you.
government that's
Thank you very
predetermined
much
its view.
indeed. We
It's a
will leave it there.
definite maybe.
That is a definite maybe. Thank you very much indeed. Now it's time for the other political stories you might have missed this week.